Live from KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Now, a top-rated vacation rental host is going to spend the next year in jail after admitting in court today that he used a hidden camera to record people inside a secluded Kendall County cabin.
A.J. Alley pleaded guilty to 6 counts of invasive visual recording. Dylan Collier explains how the charges hinder the possibility of prosecutors getting a longer sentence.
After peeking into the personal lives of vacationers without their permission, A.J. Alley found himself on the other side of the camera this morning.
What would you like to say to your victims?
As the 55-year-old reached Airbnb superhost and Vrbo premier host status while renting out this cabin on his sprawling property in Comfort, he was secretly recording his guests using this camera made to look like a power adapter. The illegal snooping exposed 2 summers ago after a couple staying there found the device.
How this camera operated is it took it's a time lapse. So it takes a video, or it takes a picture every few seconds. So that's how it comes together.
Kendall County Sheriff's investigators eventually uncovered more than 2,100 thumbnail images, some showing people naked and even having sex. Alley at one point faced 15 felony charges of invasive visual recording, 9 of which prosecutors dismissed in exchange for him pleading guilty to the 6 remaining counts. Our camera was not allowed inside court as Judge Kirsten Cahoon handed Alley 6 12-month sentences to run concurrently, meaning he'll spend the next year at a state jail facility. Alley was taken into custody immediately.
He's going to have to put together an entirely new life. The life he had is after he gets out of jail, it no longer exists aside from his family.
Because the charge is not considered a sex offense in Texas, Alley faced a maximum of 2 years behind bars for each charge. Still,
I'm relieved because the victims are relieved. So they were waiting for a resolution in this case, and now they have it.
Alley's problems don't end when he gets out of jail 1 year from now. Many of his victims sued him, Vrbo, and Airbnb. Only Airbnb has resolved its case out of court so far. In Kendall County, Dylan Collier, KSAT 12 News.
Now, new information tonight on a vehicle pursuit that led to a foot chase. San Antonio police say that they started chasing a vehicle just before 11 last night near Adrian and Vance Jackson. According to police, they were pulling over the suspect for a traffic violation when they took off towards 410. After a short pursuit, the suspect came to a blocked alley, left their car and tried to run away. Eventually, police caught the suspect and took that person into custody.
The search for a man accused of shooting his older brother is over after a short chase that backed up traffic for miles on Loop 410 near I-35 today. Police tell us that suspect was involved in a shooting this morning around 11:30. This happened in a parking lot of a methadone clinic at the corner of Quincy and Brooklyn near downtown. The suspect got into a fist fight with his older brother and then police say shot him in the shoulder. He drove away from the scene before officers got there, and police did not say why the brothers were there at the time. Both men are in their 30s. Hours later, officers spotted the suspect at 410 and Perrin Bidle. He then took off from police, they told us, but stopped at a ramp and was taken into custody. That incident backed up traffic from Loop 410 east past Harry Wurzbach Road. Traffic reopened, and police have not said what charges that suspect could be facing right now. The victim, his older brother, is listed in stable condition at a hospital.
Now, police arrested 2 men in Jourdanton after allegedly trying to use counterfeit money and attempting to steal from a store. Look at all that cash. Jourdanton police say that this happened yesterday afternoon after one of the men attempted to use the counterfeit money. Police pulled him over. Police say they found fake bills, drugs, and possibly stolen mail inside of the car. Now, Gabriel Garza is facing multiple charges, including forgery, and Jeffrey Hubble is charged with misdemeanor theft after allegedly trying to steal electronics from a Walmart.
People right here at home are trying to get help to those suffering thousands of miles away. It is hard to see all that devastation caused by the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. In Syria in particular, recovery is complicated by deep turmoil in that country. Camelia Juarez explains what people here in San Antonio are trying to do to help.
President for the Islamic Center of San Antonio, Solomon Hamide, says Syrians he spoke with are struggling to make contact with their loved ones.
For some families, it's hard to know about their loved one, if they're affected, if they're, under rebel or they're okay.
One of the biggest complications for people in Syria is getting relief aid. Infrastructure within Syria is split for political reasons.
It's split. So there's still conflict between the government and the rebels, so to speak. Aid is very hard to get from one place to another.
The U.S. Treasury says U.S. sanctions will not stand in the way of life-saving efforts for Syrian people. The Islamic Center of San Antonio is trying to help. Donations are being collected to send to the organizations like Helping Hands and Islamic Relief.
So far, this San Antonio mosque has raised over $60,000 and already sent it to those in need.
Whether it's Muslims, whether it's Christians, whether it's whoever it is, you can't watch this devastation and just not help.
If you would like to help, we have a link on KSAT.com. Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
Back here at home, an ugly crash happened this morning when an 18-wheeler was cut off and it caused a chain reaction with other cars. It also shut down I-10 East for hours. Our Katrina Weber tells us how police are now investigating the issue.
It is wheels up for an 18-wheeler. The big rig was eastbound on Interstate 10 when it went off course on the far east side around 8 this morning. Witnesses told San Antonio police the driver lost control after someone in a black SUV cut him off and kept going. The big rig hit a pickup in the process, causing damage to it. The crash also caused a big headache for other drivers who were heading toward Loop 1604. The backup from it stretched on for miles. While many people were stuck in this traffic, police say almost everyone involved in the crash was able to walk away. Only a passenger in the pickup went to a hospital, and police say that person's injuries were not serious. Cleanup crews were left with a serious problem, though. They had to soak up the fuel and oil that spilled from the overturned 18-wheeler onto the road. In the meantime, the main lanes of the highway had to remain closed. But police are keeping the case open in case they find the SUV driver who was to blame. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Two San Antonio lawmakers are trying to finally bring red light cameras to a full stop in Texas. The state already banned those controversial cameras back in 2019, but some cities that had existing contracts were grandfathered in. Now only 3 Texas cities still have the cameras, and 2 of them are right here in Bexar County, Balcones Heights and Leon Valley. State Representative Phil Cortez and State Senator Jose Menendez have filed identical bills to avoid any of those remaining contracts.
I had a meeting with 2 council members from Leon Valley who came by my office and said that they felt that those contracts were made in a way that would never let the people of Leon Valley out, and that the people of Leon Valley have overwhelmingly asked for them not to have these red light cameras.
In any case, the violations from those cameras don't seem to have any real teeth anymore. They aren't actual misdemeanors, and not paying the fine will not keep you from registering your vehicle or renewing your driver's license.
All right, well, we're talking about traffic. Let's give you a live look at one of our roadways right now. This is I-35 at AT&T Parkway, and you can see, maybe traffic is flowing a little slower, but it is, after all, rush hour. 6:07 right now, not looking too shabby for a Friday evening.
We still got some sun out on the roadways as well. A lot of people thinking about what to do this weekend, concerned about the colder weather, but maybe some sunshine to go with that, Adam.
Yeah, it's going to be cold and below average, but at least we will have plenty of sunshine as we go through the weekend. The wind has been the big headline today. Of course, unseasonably cool, but also very gusty. Wind gusts between 30 and 40 miles per hour today. Still up there at this hour, we've got gusts between 20 to about 28 miles per hour. So still a bit breezy. You notice the wind, that's going to be pumping the brakes really quickly, and you're not going to notice it as much as we go through the rest of the night. Just a gentle wind. We're going to talk about how cold and where and how long you're going to need that jacket in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Adam. We'll see you in a bit. Have you ever seen a pack of dogs in your neighborhood? Well, don't just assume that they are strays. Those dogs could very well have owners.
Yeah, Animal Care Services has a new initiative now to help dog owners provide for their furry friends and also keep them off the streets. As our Jonathan Cotto reports, the approach is meeting people at their doorstep and offering everything from education to resources.
Today, KSAT or the Community Animal Support and Assistance Team canvassing neighborhoods throughout San Antonio in an effort to keep dogs off the streets.
So our whole goal is to assist people, whether that be education or resources.
ACS officers ensuring our community has the help they need and are in the know of city ordinances.
We just need to make sure that we give them the support that they need to be the best pet owners that they can be.
This also gives pet owners an opportunity to avoid any citations.
Provide them with supplies to keep their pets appropriately contained in their properties so that they're not at risk and the community's not at risk.
We've been in this neighborhood for just a short period of time and we've already seen a handful of dogs out on the street, a problem ACS officers say is a safety concern for the community as well as the dogs. So we're learning that a lot of the dogs out on the street have a collar. So the goal is to get the owners to keep their dogs on their property properly and off the streets. According to ACS, just in the last 6 weeks, they've come across more than 600 dogs.
80% of those animals have a home.
And this is exactly what the Community Animal Support and Assistance effort looks like. They offer tethering and other supplies to help owners keep their dogs on their property properly and even microchipping on site.
I was brought up in a family where dogs can roam freely, and unfortunately that's not the case anymore.
From January to now, ACS has microchipped over 400 dogs in the field.
We microchip on the spot in the field daily. So if you see us, flag us down.
Oh, that was so good.
Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
A famous peaceful protest changed civil rights here in San Antonio and beyond. And now you can learn all about it at IKEA. We'll tell you about this exhibit coming up.
Yeah, no joke, IKEA. Now, coming up, pregnant women are often told to take folic acid, but did you know that folic acid can also treat a life-threatening mental health issue? Yeah, we're going to talk about it. It's up next.
There is a common supplement being looked at as a potential way to curb suicidal thoughts. Attempted suicide and suicide rates have risen 30% since the year 2000. Ursula Perry with what this new research has found.
Researchers from the University of Chicago examined folic acid treatment from over 800,000 Americans and studied their suicidal behavior over a 2-year period.
And what we found is that there actually is independent genetic risk that is contributing directly to suicide attempt and is not simply through the risk for psychiatric disorders.
The patients who took folic acid encountered a 44% reduction in suicidal thoughts and self-harm behaviors.
That is independent of psychiatric conditions, which often present with suicide attempt, but is biologically correlated with other non-psychiatric risk factors.
While many individuals who consider suicide have underlying psychiatric illnesses, there are also genetic risks for suicide attempts, and that genetic risk can lead directly to a suicide attempt without existing psychiatric illness. The experts reported sleep disorders, smoking, and other harmful behaviors were also contributing factors for suicide.
Experts say folic acid is an affordable supplement and you can get it without a prescription. The vitamin folate B can also be consumed by eating some foods that have folate acid, such as nuts, peas, and fruit juice. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
Let's take a look outside with Sky 12.
How
it is
pretty.
It is in full swing, quite literally. Things up and running at the rodeo grounds for the carnival tonight.
That's right, 53 degrees right now. And you know, it is Friday, Adam. So you know people are going to be going there this weekend.
Yeah, they are. And the weekend weather is going to be a bit on the cool side, especially in the mornings and nights. So prepare for that. We'll be unseasonably cool, temperatures below average throughout the entire weekend. Now, we will warm up briefly next week, but then get ready for a noticeable cold front. Winter's not over yet, folks. One shot at rain on the way, and that's going to be coming Monday night. I want to talk about the morning low temperatures because tomorrow, prepare for a light freeze. You don't have to worry about pipes or anything. Just briefly dropping to about 32 degrees and even into the 20s, upper 20s in some outlying areas. Sunday morning, not that much warmer at 34. Then next week, mornings are back up into the 40s to even near 50 degrees. Let's take a look at our day today. 57 the high. It's good 10 degrees below average for this time of year. And I like to look at the records. It just gives you an idea of what's within reach. Our record low 19, record high 88. So that's, what the potential is this time of year. 42 in Lubbock, 45 right now in Abilene, 56 in Hondo, 62 in Cotulla, but 53 New Braunfels and San Antonio, and already 40s all across the hill country. Fredericksburg at 46 and Kerrville 49. This is what we're expecting tomorrow morning. 28 in Hondo, 32 in Del Rio, even Carrizo Springs down to 30 degrees around 7 a.m., 29 in Canyon Lake. You get the idea. You're going to feel the chill tomorrow morning. If you have those potted plants, just bring them in or put them in the garage. Should be just enough. Just a brief light freeze early in the morning. Timberwood Park 30, even Elmendorf dropping down to 32. By tomorrow afternoon, we're near 60 degrees, 59 Helotes and Converse, and 62 La Jolla and even Von Army. And we will have a lot of sunshine tomorrow, so that's going to go a long way. We'll see those temperatures warm up pretty quickly from 7 a.m. at 32 to 53 at noon, and then up to 60 degrees at 4 p.m. And not as much wind. A north wind at only 5 to 15, and for most of the day, 5 to 10 miles per hour. The gusty wind that we've been dealing with today will quickly be slamming on the brakes over the next couple of hours. So plan for that. Not much of really not even a noticeable wind come 9 o'clock. High temperature trend, mid 60s Sunday and Monday. Then look at this. We get up to 80 degrees on Wednesday before our next cold front hits, dropping our highs back down into the upper 50s for Thursday and Friday of next week. So by this time next week, a little bit of a roller coaster ride when it comes to temperatures over the next 7 days. Here's a look at our overall pattern, this swirl in the upper levels. That's what pushed that cold front through last night. And it has some moisture with it in parts of the mid-south, but that's not headed our way. That's moving out of here. We've got this bump in the upper level flow, that ridge, and it's a little blue H basically, not like the big blue H, the heat high in the summer, but it's enough to give us clear skies, a lot of sunshine the next few days, and then it will also allow, once it moves out of here, this next disturbance currently moving into Northern California. That's our next disturbance for Monday night into early Tuesday. And unfortunately, we had to drop those rain chances a little bit. It looks like that upper disturbance isn't going to be in the sweet spot for us for rain, but still a little bit of a chance. Not a shot at rain this weekend. Nothing but sunshine Saturday. On Sunday, you'll notice some mid and high clouds really starting to increase throughout the day. And then we get into Monday night, 30% chance of a few showers. So we did drop that from 40% down to 30%. Otherwise, get ready for another gusty day come next Thursday behind that cold front.
The cold is so much better with a little bit of sun.
Oh, yeah.
Goes
so
a long
much
way.
more tolerable. Yeah.
Big time.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Adam.
Big honor for Dak.
Yeah, Walter Payton, Man of the Year. That's the award NFL players truly covet because it's named after Walter Payton, of course, and it's for their work in the community and excellence on the field. Dak Prescott is your newest winner of that, and he thanked his mother for helping him earn that award. And today was weigh-in for SA boxer Mario Barrios coming up.
play hard, man. Young guys. I had the same experience in Charlotte, so I kind of know what this feels like, and trying to rebuild, but just playing the right way and playing hard.
Devontae Graham is 27 and joining a very young Spurs roster on game day. The Spurs are playing at the Pistons right now, trying to win their first game in 3 weeks. This matchup is a far cry from the 2005 NBA Finals when the Spurs beat the Pistons in 7 games to win the NBA championship. This season, Detroit is currently last in the East, while the Spurs are second to last in the West. Recently acquired point guard Devontae Graham was asked at morning shoot-around what he brings to the team.
Playing good ball, playing the right way, making shots, great teammate, playmaker, all the little things, to try to win games.
And here is your score update. Spurs are up 12-5 in the first quarter. We'll have your highlights on the Night Beat.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
The NFL celebrated another season of excellence last night at the 12th Annual NFL Honors. Some of the winners include Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who was named the AP Most Valuable Player. Jets cornerback Sauce Gardner won AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. Seattle cornerback Tariq Woolen finished third for that honor. And Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott won the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year, the NFL's highest acclaim.
I want to acknowledge the person who has had the biggest influence on my life, my mother, Peggy. My mother was and still is my moral compass. And through my own charitable contributions, I seek to share her strength and courage with the world. It was one of a kind. My mother told me when she was diagnosed with cancer that all greats have a story. Allow me to be your story. She is my why, and with these words, just as she does and always did, my mother inspired me and motivated me to be great beyond the circumstances, and it is in her honor that I started my foundation in 2017 and named it the Faith Fight Finish, the 3 words she left me and my brothers.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2023 was announced, and it includes 2 more Cowboys in Chuck Howley and DeMarcus Ware. The boys basketball team at St. Luke was all smiles last night, cutting down the nets. The Rebels won the Class 2A AIAL championship for the 3rd year in a row. They beat St. Matthew 55-39. Congratulations to the staff and players. A three-peat is very sweet. Josh Davis Natatorium hosted the UAL Class 4A swimming and diving championships this morning, and the Great Hearts Monte Vista girls dominated from start to finish, sweeping all 3 relay titles. Junior Valeria Ivanov Gomez struck gold twice in the 50 and 100-yard freestyles, while senior Maddie Mealy pulled away to win the 100-yard butterfly, leading the Lions girls to the overall team title.
We're a very tight-knit team because Great Hearts goes all the way to kindergarten. A lot of people have been there since the school started. It has started swimming in 5th and 6th grade when there was like 5 people on the team. So it's been a long time coming.
Great Hearts Monte Vista senior Zachary Poopart finished first in the 200-yard individual medley, one of many podium finishers on the boys' side. You can watch a full recap of today's action on the BGC page at KSAT.com.
From San Antonio, Texas, here is Mario El Azteca Barrios.
Today was the official weigh-in for San Antonio native Mario Barrios, who will fight Giovanni Santiago in a 10-round welterweight co-main event at the Alamo Dome tomorrow night. Both made weight. Barrios at 146 3/4 pounds and Santiago at 145 3/4 pounds. Best of luck to Mario.
Yeah, big time. Thank you so much. And we'll be right back. Welcome back. And keeping with this year's theme for Black History Month, you should check out the Black Resistance at the Lunch Counter. It's a photo exhibit by the San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum, and you can actually catch it Monday at the IKEA in Live Oak.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit here earlier this week. Jesse DeGollado tells us how San Antonio actually led the way more than 60 years ago, unlike a lot of other cities in the South.
It's a separatory funnel. Long before Dee Goforth got a PhD in chemistry and became a professor at St. Philip's College, she was a San Antonio teenager who was very aware there were places like the old Woolworth's 5 and Dime downtown.
And you could go in and purchase whatever you wanted
but you couldn't sit down and eat.
That changed in March of 1960 when Woolworths was peacefully integrated.
They were not told to get up. We were not told you could not sit here.
She says Woolworths that day was the last of 3 stops downtown where members of the junior NAACP were treated the same way.
We wanted to take our signs and march and stuff, and we couldn't do that because they served us.
Undaunted, Goforth says she told her father she wanted to join the civil rights movement in Alabama.
You're not going anywhere because they knew how dangerous this was.
Sadly, she says, years later, it can still be dangerous for young black men like her grandson.
The things that could happen and having that talk with them is not something that we really want because to think about what the consequences could be. I just think that we still have a long ways to go.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
I love that we did that story because you have so many people here in San Antonio who remember what it was like before the Civil Rights Act passed. Yeah. And they're just, you can talk to them. They're like talking history books. Wasn't that long ago. All right. Well, now for an update on the federal investigation into former President Donald Trump's administration. The FBI now conducting a search at the former vice president's home in Indiana. And this is coming as a special counsel issued a subpoena against Mike Pence. ABC's Micah Joshi explains how Pence's legal team is now working with federal authorities.
Today, after a 5-hour search of former Vice President Pence's private Indiana home, FBI agents found another document with the classified marking. This follows the discovery of classified documents last month. Pence was not home at the time, but a member of his legal team was on site. The search comes as Pence faces a subpoena by Jack Smith, the special counsel appointed by Attorney General Merrick Garland last November, who's tasked with overseeing probes into former President Donald Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents after leaving the presidency and his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Smith is looking for Pence to provide documents and testimony.
I think the things that Donald Trump said to Mike Pence that could reveal whether he knew he had actually lost the election and that what he was doing was an improper effort to retain office.
The subpoena follows months of negotiations between federal prosecutors and Pence's legal team. During the January 6th insurrection, Pence faced immense pressure from Trump and his allies to overturn the results of the election.
I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so.
Pence later telling ABC News that Trump's words that day were reckless and that they endangered the former vice president's family and everyone in the Capitol building. Still, it's unclear if he will comply with the subpoena.
It's a big deal in the sense that it's part of the Justice Department and more specifically Special Counsel Jack Smith's promise to overturn every stone.
It's not clear to what extent Pence might seek to invoke claims of executive privilege over the information sought by Smith, a move that could set up a potentially lengthy and contentious legal battle with no clear precedent. Micah Joshi, ABC News, Washington.
Now let's talk about the current White House. The communications director, Kate Bedingfield, is now leaving that job. She's expected to get involved with President Joe Biden's 2024 re-election campaign. President Biden calling Bedingfield a loyal and trusted advisor, especially during his last campaign. Now, the White House says that Democratic communications professional Ben LeBolt is going to be the one to replace her.
Listen to this story a lot closer to home. A former boat captain in Galveston was supposed to throw the ashes of 3 people into the ocean to be their final resting places. But investigators say that he kept them instead, and now he's facing charges for that. Cody Kenny is charged with 3 counts of abuse of a corpse. Court documents say that he was a contract captain for 2 boats with the Aqua Safari and Galveston deep sea fishing charters. The company typically works with families to spread ashes during ceremonies, but some were done by Kenny unaccompanied. He was given the remains from late 2021 through last year, and after he quit, investigators say a container of ashes was found in his former deckhand's garage.
Now, new updates regarding that Chinese spy balloon. The Biden administration believes that the balloon was actually sent without President Xi Jinping's knowledge. Now, this information is coming from sources familiar with the classified briefings happening between House and Senate lawmakers yesterday. One of the sources said the U.S. believes that senior leadership of the People's Liberation Army and Chinese Communist Party were also unaware.
Johns Hopkins University announcing today that it will no longer collect or report COVID-19 data beginning March 10th. The school's Coronavirus Resource Center says it started the tracker to meet an urgent need at a time when governments did not have the capacity to collect and report COVID information. But now that need is being met by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
A new study now suggests that scientists may have found a link between air pollution and depression. The study of almost 9 million people looked at Medicare recipients who were at least 65 years old, and it found that those who lived in areas with high levels of air pollution were more likely to experience depression. The association was higher among poorer people, which could also be because they're exposed to other stressors.
All right, so what's your favorite part? The food,
Yes.
the commercials? Oh, or the actual football. The Super Bowl is almost here, and we've got a rundown of what you can expect this weekend coming up next.